In a small, bustling town, there lived a man named Daniel Benson. He was known by everyone as a quiet but hard-working father, the kind of man who never missed Sunday church, who worked long hours as a carpenter, and who always found time to sit with his children in the evenings, telling them stories under the glow of a kerosene lamp. One rainy morning, Daniel left home carrying his toolbox. He told his wife, Ada, that he had a job in a nearby village and would be back before dusk. But that night, Daniel did not return. At first, Ada thought the rain had delayed him. But as hours turned into days, fear began to sink in. The family searched everywhere through the forests, along the riverbanks, and in neighboring towns, but Daniel was nowhere to be found. Days turned into weeks. Rumors spread quickly. Some said he might have drowned. Others whispered that perhaps he had abandoned his family. Ada refused to believe any of it. She held on to hope, raising their children alone, waiting for the day her husband would return. What no one knew was that Daniel had wandered deep into the forest on his way to the job. A heavy storm broke out. The river swelled and the familiar paths became unfamiliar. He tried to find his way back, but the forest seemed endless. Days of walking turned into months of survival. With no tools but his bare hands, Daniel lived off wild fruits, roots, and streams of water. His mind, at first sharp with determination, began to blur with loneliness. He built a small shelter, marking each season by the changes in the trees. He had no idea how much time had passed. He only prayed that God would guide him home someday. 7 years went by. Ada had nearly given up hope, though a part of her heart still whispered that Daniel was alive somewhere. Their children had grown. One was almost a man, the other a young woman now. Life had continued, but the emptiness at the table remained. Then, one hot afternoon, a hunter roaming near the outskirts of the forest stumbled across a ragged man with a long beard, his clothes in tatters, his eyes wild yet filled with a desperate spark. The hunter approached carefully, and after some time, he realized this man was speaking brokenly, haltingly in their local dialect. It was Daniel. The hunter helped him back to the village. News spread like wildfire. The lost man has been found. Crowds gathered as Daniel staggered into town, thinner, older, yet unmistakably the man who had vanished 7 years before. His wife dropped to her knees when she saw him, tears flowing as she embraced the husband she had thought she lost forever. His children, now nearly grown, held onto him as if they were little again. The entire town wept, not just for Daniel's return, but for the miracle of survival. Daniel never spoke much about those years in the forest. When people asked, he simply said, "I was never alone. God kept me alive." He returned to carpentry, but the man who came back was gentler, slower to anger, and full of gratitude. He knew the value of every sunrise, every meal, every laugh shared with his family. To the town, his story became a living legend, a reminder that even when hope seems lost, miracles can walk back through your door. 7 years later,